let's get right to the big story. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, President Trump and an elite team of Delta Force special operators removed a dangerous foreign dictator from power. Not that one. They're actually friends. And quite frankly, I think business partners. No, not that. They're also quite close. That's not okay. I believe these two have more of a heated rivalry vibe. If you know what I mean, so it's not that one. No, that one. No, that wasn't us. No, I'm talking about the now former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who was reverse iced and imported. He was actually imported to a jail in Brooklyn. But don't feel bad for him. He was a feared and cruel dictator.
Don't worry, be happy. La 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 la.
Bobby McFerrin karaoke? You monster. Look, I know that clip makes him seem benign, almost kind of comical. But the truth is, Maduro oversaw a repressive regime that impoverished his nation, silenced dissent, and killed thousands. La, la, la. But his iron rule and a cappella terror came to an end on Friday night when U.S. Special Forces raided Caracas, Venezuela's only city, as far as we know, and snatched Nicolas Maduro out of his bedroom, apparently before he could even take off his sleep mask. His aura ring must have been like, you had a bad night. You did not get good, deep sleep. And as it unfolded, Donald Trump was overseeing it all from a secure location, the Situation tent at Mar-a-Lago. I don't want to be a dick or a nitpicker, but is this the most secure location? In Mar-a-Lago? Behind the curtain you throw up in front of the catering kitchen? This is a matter of utmost national security. Dessert's going to have to come out through the surface entrance. I was never here. That was me, acting as though I was coming out of it. But obviously, despite the makeshift command center, this was a highly technical and complex operation that required months of training and preparation.
After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets.
Well, that does explain this photo from the raid. I hope you like eating kibble and gitmo, Daphne. We debated before the show. Is it mildly racist that we gave him a chihuahua? Is that? Because basically we were saying, like, is that because the chihuahua's from Mexico, this is Venezuela, and I thought, well, so there is some nuance to it. But still, mildly racist. You're welcome. Now, obviously, this is actually a very fraught moment for the world. It is highly unusual for any government, any sovereign nation, to violate the airspace and territory of another sovereign nation and hit the grab and go on their president. Explaining it will require the deft hand of an accomplished statesman. Let me get there. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the President of the United States addressing the nation in this solemn moment.
The United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. It was dark and it was deadly. Or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days. They were different days, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city. Restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C.
So in closing, if we hadn't grabbed Maduro, you'd still be taking Ubers to Ruth's Chris. Unless you think I'm making our president look cavalier in this moment, here's Trump describing how he experienced this consequential operation.
If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show.
And then I flipped over to see who was on Kimmel. I mean, can you believe he still gets to interview Millie Bobby Brown? I mean, he's got no talent. Anyway, back to abducting the president of Venezuela. Look, no one knows how this operation is going to work out. But based on the United States track record, my guess is we're going to be really happy about this for a couple of weeks. And then 30 years from now, there will be a Venezuelan leftist revolution, and the new government will point to this moment as the reason our embassy there is on fire, and it will absolutely ruin a Democrat's presidency. Generally, that's how this shit works. And remember, the reason MAGA was so high on Donald Trump was that he was the guy who wasn't going to get involved with this kind of shit anymore.
We do not seek war. We do not seek nation building. We do not seek regime change.
And we don't want to be the world's policeman.
We don't want to be. Those days are over now. No more American boots on the ground.
We're not afraid of boots on the ground.
No more rebuilding other countries' infrastructure.
We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure.
Well, it's not like we're going to be running someone else's country.
We are going to run the country.
So let me get this. This is a big change in America First policy, is it not? And a change in policy this big is going to need some of that Trump marketing and branding magic.
And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donro document.
Donro doctrine? That's the one when someone calls it out, you go, look, no bad ideas. But honestly, not your best work. The Donro doctrine. It's obviously a portmanteau of Monroe and Donald. I guess it's a spin-off of the Monroe Doctrine, famously adopted by President James Monroe in 1823 when he warned colonial powers not to interfere in our hemisphere. Let me let a historian explain.
But you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Why is he up there?
I think the Monroe Doctrine was pretty important. You know, that was his claim to fame.
Claim to fame? Like he ate 18 hot dogs in one sitting? I mean, I guess it's correct. You can't really name another thing Monroe was famous for. But it's not like everywhere Monroe went, they'd be like, hey, aren't you that guy from the Doctrine? Babe, get over here. It's the Doctrine guy. Hey! What are you doing in our hemisphere? I told you that would work. A little Monroe Doctrine humor. Slid it in. Now look, generally in American history, when we intervene in another country, whether true or not, we come up with a high-minded pretense. Liberating a people, spreading democracy, introducing baseball to the Japanese. They complained at first, but it was totally worth it. On what moral foundation will this conflict be framed?
We're going to have presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil. We're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be.
Seems a little on the nose. Oil, precious commodity, certainly. but not the reason a country formed 250 years ago on the ideas of liberty and self-determination would go into a country and snatch a man at night. There must be a slightly more noble pretense.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground.
We need total access. We need access to the oil.
Sir, again, I see where we're going here. Do you mind just reframing that? I'm not quite clear on the high-minded principle behind this.
In other words, we'll be selling oil.
Is this your first war? I mean, what the f***? All right, let's table this for now. Senator Lindsey Graham, you're an old hand at warmongering. You've done this a bunch. You're on the plane. Can you help this dude out with the casus belli and keep Trump from bringing it back to oil?
There are going to be Americans alive today because he shut down a narco-terrorist state called Venezuela. This is a good thing, not a bad thing.
And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild their system.
God damn it! What? We can't even be conspiracy theorists now. I think they did it for the oil. Yeah, no, I did it for the oil. Is there any other reason? Can you give us anything? There's a lot of issues, human rights violations, political prisoners down in Venezuela. We could certainly free them and improve the lives of dissidents.
Are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country.
Yes, we'll get the people out of jail, but first we have to liberate the oil from its ground prison. That oil's been locked up for millions of years, yearning to burn free. Obviously, I'm being cynical. It's not purely for oil. Even Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick on the plane could tell you that on his way out of the bathroom.
You have steel, you have minerals, right? All the critical minerals. They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals.
These motherfuckers are going full conquistador in front of our eyes. I mean, they got oil, steel, minerals. Oh, and don't forget about the spices. Spices. We'll load our ships with cinnamon and cardamom and oil and everything bagels. You'll see. And they might have gotten away with it too. But our country is a democracy. So bad news, Donro. Your little oil heist is going to have to get past the Democrats and Inspector Schumer.
So I've been talking to so many members of my caucus today. Everybody is very, very just totally troubled, worried.
History has its eyes on. Well, if it were two totallys and one very, I'd say Trump is getting off scot-free. But three totallys and two veries? And trouble worried? I don't want to say the president doesn't respect the Democrats. But he did not brief them before or after this attack. Now, you could say that was in the interest of national security and operational confidentiality. If not for this one group he did speak to.
Spoken with the oil companies about going into Venezuela?
I have.
Speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off? No.
Before and after.
And then I told Pepsi and Nabisco, Color Guard, I don't know why. What's the suitcase company on Instagram? I told them. I told Hims. I told her. I let the president of Zins shoot some missiles. But I didn't tell any of the Democrats. I don't feel bad for the Democrats. They will be totally, very, very fine. Probably even gain a seat in the midterms. The people I feel sorry for are the Trump defendants. The defenders, the sycophants, who haven't received the memo that we no longer have to frame our adventurism in the ideals of our great country.
And this is a very strong way to support democracy.
Nothing greater than an American president who liberates people.
Liberated them from a strong man who's been holding, by force and intimidation, this country hostage.
We're not about nation building.
The president doesn't want his natural resources. We don't want their oil.
Oh, poor sweet Brian Kilmeade. Sweet Brian. Trump already explicitly said he wants their oil. And democracy? Trump has already said he wants Venezuelans to freely choose their leaders as long as those leaders are acceptable to us. He's already said he's going to select who will be their next leader. And guess what? This ain't a one-off.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long. By the way, you have to do something with Mexico. We need Greenland. Cuba is ready to fall. You know that.
Let the word go forth to a new generation of Americans that if we need shit, and it's not too far away, we are going to take it. Anything else you want to take over? I think there's still some time to go after Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean, America doesn't have Netflix money, but we will after we get that sweet oil. And by the way, f***ing Lindsey Graham. Honestly, I have never seen him happier. Like a leprechaun in a bowl of f***ing Lucky Charms. I think we're going to go after Cuba. Yeah, boss. Yeah. That sounds real good, boss. Real good. Look, this is all exhausting and exposes the Gulf of America, not the body of water. The real Gulf of America is the gap between the high aspirations that embody the founding of this country and the thuggish gangsterism that this crew thinks makes us great again. And if I may offer the news media a New Year's resolution, it's that I don't ever want to hear again about the ramifications of how Trump's actions, however counter to what he promised in his campaign, or the files that he might release, might alienate his base.
Do you expect to see some splits in the MAGA movement?
Will the MAGA base start to break away?
Widen a rift with his MAGA base.
How's it going to play for MAGA?
It'll play fine! They'll love it. Their fervor against intervention will be only matched by their delight in this intervention. There is no material on earth more malleable than the hive mind connection between Donald Trump and his acolytes. And no matter how many times he betrays the principles they claim to love him for, they will react over and over with the exact same refrain.
Don't worry, be happy. La, 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 la.
The world is still in shock over Donald Trump's surprise door dashing of Nicolas Maduro to Brooklyn. And he didn't even tit. And I have to say, I did not see this Venezuela thing coming. And I read the news every day. So a lesson here is reading is pointless. But now, Maduro will face justice in the best legal system in the world that we illegally kidnapped him to. And it all began yesterday morning when he showed up to court. And if this isn't Iraq all over again, why are they reusing Saddam Hussein's courtroom sketch? Let's see how his first day went.
Maduro greeted spectators in the courtroom saying, "Buenos dias."
Buenos dias. Smart legal strategy by Maduro. If he speaks Spanish, ICE might bust in and deport him back to Venezuela just out of habit. I'm starting to think this guy might beat the rap.
As the judge asked, "Are you Nicolas Maduro?" "I am the president of the Republic of Venezuela," a defiant Maduro responded.
You blew it. You should have just said no. The judge will be like, you heard the man, case dismissed. But there is some good news for Maduro. He's not alone.
This morning, Nicolas Maduro and wife Celia Flores are waking up in jail, returned after a day in court where they both pleaded not guilty to charges they worked together to traffic cocaine.
God damn, his wife was trafficking cocaine with him? I guess in other countries, first ladies have actual responsibilities. Hey, I bet Trump is jealous of their relationship. I mean, he must be like, Melania, why can't we ever do couple stuff like the Maduros? Now, they might spend the rest of their lives together in prison, but to be fair, aren't all marriages kind of a prison? It's okay, I can make that joke. My wife only watches on Mondays. But look, okay, this is a tough one for MAGA because Trump's whole thing was not getting into foreign wars. So they must be giving a lot of serious consideration into all of the geopolitical implications of this new doctrine.
I've seen a lot of stuff, but this Venezuela thing, that was awesome. Oh, man.
This is like watching a 12-year-old do a news report about the first time he saw boobs. The rumors are true, people. Those are awesome. Who is this show for, anyway? Like, how dumb is his audience that they're like, hey, let's see what Greg thinks of this. Oh yeah, hey, honey, Greg thinks it's awesome. I'm totally satisfied on an intellectual level now. But it turns out not everyone thinks forcing a regime change in another country is a good idea. And for those people, Mike Johnson is here to ease your mind.
I want to say that the way that this is being described, I think, is accurate. This is not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime.
It's not a regime change, it's a changed regime. Thank you, stupid Yoda. It's like... Stupid Yoda says, do or do not, there is no Epstein files. Why is Mike Johnson downplaying this? I mean, the U.S. overthrew a government at gunpoint with no plan. Doesn't this bother anyone?
Hey, look, I'm appreciative of what the president has done with this. And I know there's going to be those out there that are going to be the critics. But, you know, when you break a few eggs, we got to learn how to make some omelets with it. And this is exactly what we're going to do.
We break a few eggs, then learn how to make an omelet? I mean, this guy f***ed up the metaphor so badly that he accidentally got it right. Because that's not how you make an omelet, but that's exactly what we did in Venezuela. We just went in and broke everything, and now we're like, hey, who has a recipe for omelets? We have a lot of oil, I know we can use that. But look, I get what's happening here, okay? No one in MAGA expected this to happen. So they're all scrambling to find an answer that makes sense to them. Even MAGA mega church pastors are flipping through the Bible like, hey, there's gotta be something in here.
They say you have seized Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true. But the spiritual oil and the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord.
No, I get it, okay? The oil is a metaphor for oil. I mean, is that what the Holy Trinity is? Regular, unleaded, and diesel. I know Christianity is weird, but this doesn't sound like something God would say. Like, don't kill, don't steal, but feel free to go absolutely ape shit on oil. This is also why Buddha is the best, because you never see a MAGA monk going, let go of all your attachments, except to Greenland, which is ours. But maybe we don't need religion or f***ed-up breakfast metaphors to explain why Trump kidnapped Maduro. Because last night, we heard from Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy secretary and guy who didn't go bald. It just never came in the first place. And he gave a very clear answer about why we did this. Because we can.
We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. You can talk all you want about international niceties and everything else, but we live in a world, in the real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power.
No, shut up. You heard this dweeb, okay? This is what a superpower looks like now. A guy whose head looks like a up circumcision. Okay? And with them in charge, America can stop pretending to be the nice guy. And nobody's more excited to be the bully for a change than Stephen Miller.
This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections to be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away, to create these vacuums.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
Damn straight we did. I can swear whenever I want. I don't give a dick shit what my parents say, bitch. Listening to this guy talk is like if Nazis took helium instead of meth. But still, this is a big change for Americans. They're now being told that their view of themselves as a benevolent force for good is gone, and they are now the evil empire. And as we look at this photo of a foreign leader in our custody, every American has to decide how to respond in this moment.
And this photo seen around the world of Maduro blindfolded wearing a tracksuit, sparking a surprising response.
It's a Nike Tech fleece jacket and jogging pants. Now there's a run on the $140 outfit. Guys have started posting images of themselves wearing it. Here at the Nike store in Midtown Manhattan, the so-called Maduro tracksuits are flying off the shelves.
Wow, you can really go shopping fast when you don't have a life. What's wrong with you people? Okay, not everything has to be content. Can't this just be a bloody coup without clout chasing? I wish the like and subscribe button was your face so I could smash it over and over again. It's been 5 days since America invaded Venezuela, arrested its president, and seized control of the country. And now the real work begins. Nation building. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I meant narrative building.
The bottom line is we now have freedom in Venezuela.
I have so many Venezuelan friends. They are crying tears of joy.
This is their first real opportunity to experience democracy and freedom.
Listen, people smell freedom in the air, and they can thank Donald J. Trump.
That's right, Trump is stinking up the joint with freedom. Can you smell it? It's just crop dusting our hemisphere of democracy. Breathe it in, people. Finally, the Venezuelan people are in charge of their own destiny. Let's see exactly what kind of freedom they have won.
President Donald Trump announced that Venezuela will be giving the U.S. 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to be sold.
This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America.
Okay, look. Say what you want about his corruption. At least Trump is hands-on with it, okay? Dick Cheney had to funnel it through Halliburton or whatever. But Donald Trump is like, yo, just give me the oil. I'll open a gas pump outside the Oval Office. Okay, just come drive right up, but no Amex. So yes, Venezuela has agreed to hand over approximately $2 billion worth of oil to the United States out of the goodness of their hearts and because we are mugging them. Which seems harsh, but you know what? A little bit of oil money for President Trump is a small price to pay for illegally kidnapping the president. And now that this payoff is taken care of, America will get out of your hair. Goodbye forever, Venezuela. You're finally free.
The U.S. now imposing a military blockade on its oil exports, using it as leverage to get Venezuela to give in to the Trump administration's demands. The U.S. has conveyed to the interim leader of Venezuela that she must agree to partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production and kick out officials from China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba, severing all economic ties with those countries.
I think we all know what's going on here. Ladies, when your new boyfriend forces you to cut ties with all of your friends, he's a keeper. Sorry, it kind of feels like Trump wants to be the new dictator of Venezuela, but that can't be right, right?
We obviously have maximum leverage over the interim authorities. Their decisions are going to continue to be dictated by the United States of America.
Okay, look, I know how that sounds, but just because you dictate doesn't make you a dictator, okay? Because, no, it doesn't. Because dictators, they live in like a gold palace or something. And to any Venezuelans looking for advice on how to get rid of Donald Trump, we have no idea. But I can tell you one thing that doesn't work: satire. Doesn't do shit. But if you're in a country in the area and this sounds like a good deal, well, good news. You're next.
This is the start of changing Venezuela. Then we're going to fix Cuba. Nicaragua will get fixed. Next year, we'll get a new president in Colombia. Democracy is coming back to this hemisphere.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to this guy on surviving the Ark of the Covenant. And second, look, okay, the world is a messed up place. If an oil rampage is what it takes to spread democracy, maybe that's what it takes, okay? Stop being such babies. So which of these tyrannical dictatorships are we going after next?
President Trump and his team are also targeting a northern ally of the U.S. with new threats to take over Greenland.
That's right, Greenland. Because the only thing we hate more than a brutal authoritarian regime is whatever the complete opposite of that is. That's just one little hitch with invading Greenland.
Denmark, which controls the independent territory, is a close NATO ally.
The Danish prime minister has said a U.S. attack on NATO territory would effectively end the alliance, which has never seen one member attack another.
Great, okay, that means they won't expect it. It's the definition of a sneak attack, okay? The point is we need Greenland. Why? For their freedom or their oil or for national defense. Look, I don't remember what excuse we're using. But, okay, this congressman, he'll explain it.
It's important that we have a stake in Greenland. When you look at the Western Hemisphere, we are the dominant predator, quite frankly, force in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, Trump is the dominant predator in the Western Hemisphere. At least now that Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Everything in America is super cool right now. We are very lucky to live in a country where we enjoy a great relationship with law enforcement agencies. President Trump is doing everything he can to keep us safe. And, oh, it looks like the incredibly handsome mayor of Minneapolis has something to say.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
Okay, look, to be fair, ICE is what people in Minneapolis say most winters anyway, okay? But this time, he's actually referring to the immigration cops. I assume at this point you have all seen the horrible video or you've been working really hard not to see it. So don't worry, I'm not going to show it to you. But basically, ICE agents surrounded this woman's car and ended up shooting her when she tried to drive away from them. That certainly would have made me way too scared to confront these guys. But the people in Minnesota are built different.
Demonstrators taking to the streets after the shooting. Some confronting ICE agents throwing snowballs.
That's right, throwing snowballs. First, we fight the oppressive police state, and then hot cocoa. Now look, people have been watching the video over and over, breaking it down frame by frame until they end up with resting Kash Patel face. And it's already become just one more political Rorschach test in America. Some people see a peaceful protester getting murdered, and other people are fascists. But regardless of where you stand on that, nobody was seeing what Kristi Noem saw.
What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them.
What are you talking about? Because maybe you didn't see the video clearly because your stupid hat is blocking your vision. Okay. But thank you for weighing in, and sorry to interrupt your girls' weekend in Nashville. I just don't see how you could see an attack in that video. Well, I mean, wait, is this why Kristi Noem shot her puppy? I mean, did she think it was trying to ram into her with a car? I don't know. Maybe that's all she sees, cars ramming into her. This was barely 2 hours after the shooting, and without any investigation, Noem had already decided that the woman deserved it. But later that day, once more facts came out, she ignored those two and doubled down.
This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way.
Being trained. I mean, I am outraged that you would inflame the situation with divisive and charged accusations. But that is a cool costume change, okay? I love how she went from cowboy to undercover cop at a high school party. I mean, I hope the next hat is going to be one of those Rasta hats. Like, and she can be like, yeah. And she can be like, hey man, it's domestic terrorism. Look, this country does not need a divisive figure like Kristi Noem right now. It needs a leader with the maturity and unifying rhetoric to bring us all together. Shut up, shut up, shut the f up. President Trump, I call on you to heal this nation.
This is what President Trump just posted. The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the clip, hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital.
Yeah, I don't... You guys... Okay, I'm starting to sense a bias in the audience here, but, you know... What do you mean it's hard to believe he's alive? The guy walked away. Like, was Kristi Noem's hat so big it was blocking your vision too, President Trump? I mean, even if you think the video is ambiguous, it's not that ambiguous. This is like one person saying the dress is blue and black and the other person saying it's a dishwasher, okay? It's not. There's a basic shape to what happened. But here's the problem. Everyone is arguing about what happened in the seconds leading up to the shooting. But what we really need to be looking at is what happened in the months leading up to the shooting. Because something like this was almost inevitable when you have ICE promoting itself like this.
A massive PR push is underway to recruit new ICE agents, including ads targeted at young Americans.
It's posted a meme referencing the video game Halo to its official X account with the slogan, quote, "Destroy the flood."
Okay, look. I'm just saying you're not going to get responsible professionals when you tell them the job is a freaking awesome video game, okay? You're going to get a bunch of guys who own this chair. And it's not just how they're promoting their mission. It's also the guys they're trying to recruit.
The effort will target gun rights supporters, military enthusiasts, people who have attended UFC fights or listened to patriotic podcasts.
That's right. It's military enthusiasts, patriotic podcast listeners, and UFC fans. Basically, anyone you pray your sister would finally break up with. And if you're watching, look, I like to call balls and strikes, okay? So if you're watching this and you're saying, hey, Ronny, you're being unfair. I'm a military enthusiast, patriotic podcast listener, and a UFC fan, and I'm highly professional. Well, hey, I guess they weren't going after you.
Some of the recruits failed drug testing, have disqualifying criminal backgrounds, or don't meet the physical or academic requirements to serve.
Additionally, nearly half of recruits failed the written exam, even with access to notes and textbooks.
How the do you fail an open book test? The answers are here. You just put them here. This is what happens when you don't have immigrants to cheat off of, okay? But look, I guess it's... But I guess it's hard to take a written test when you're wearing Oakleys indoors. So now we have a massive new police force of poorly trained recruits hopped up on Rick Ross music, unleashed into American cities and suburbs. And for the past few months, federal agents have been terrorizing people in their own neighborhoods.
Over the past year, Americans have witnessed masked ICE agents detain mothers in front of their children, people shot by federal agents, and more than 170 U.S. citizens held inside detention centers.
A 79-year-old business owner says he was body slammed and pinned to the ground despite being a U.S. citizen.
Carlos Jimenez, a U.S. citizen, tried to drive around the officers when one shot him in the back of his shoulder.
Masked agents shot pepper balls at a pastor.
A woman who was handcuffed was suddenly being dragged by one arm.
Federal agents drag away a blind protester.
We kept yelling, she's pregnant, she's pregnant.
Okay, look, I know. I voted wrong, okay? I'm sorry. But look, it's so evil that the only level above this is cartoonishly evil.
A Halloween parade for children canceled after agents deployed what appeared to be tear gas.
It's a Halloween parade. Those are just kids. They want actual Korean demon hunters, okay? And look, if you're thinking they don't need to enforce the law this violently, you're correct. They don't need to be this violent. The violence and showing the violence is the point. This is why just breaking down these videos frame by frame doesn't tell the whole story of what happened here, okay? People keep saying this ICE agent feared for his safety. Maybe so. But we also have to acknowledge that this woman probably feared for her safety too, and for good reason. And telling someone to just comply with law enforcement isn't helpful when ICE has spent the past year acting less like law enforcement and more like a lawless militia. So unfortunately, we can keep expecting this to happen. Not because ICE is going to dangerous situations, but because they keep going into safe situations and then making them more dangerous than they need to be.